Hi all, welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to discuss a new topic called integrated circuit. We are familiar with this terminology, we have heard about this in our day-to-day life, and integrated circuits are devices or electronic circuits made into a small package. And this was achieved with the advent of silicon technology. And what is the speciality of silicon technology? Have you ever wondered what a silicon technology is? So it goes like this. Silicon is that material which can be made into a good conductor as well as it can be made into a good insulator, and it can be tuned. Its conductivity can be tuned between the conductive state and the insulative state. So you can have any type of conductivity inside a single silicon crystal. Okay, and that is something marvelous because if you want an insulator, you have to go for mica or some other insulating materials. And if you want to have conductors, you need to go for metals like gold or silver or aluminum. So you don't have that much of choices like what can I have to get a conductivity of this much Siemens per centimeter or so. That kind of choice was not available before the coming of silicon technology. But with the silicon technology, what we achieved is we could have a conductivity ladder where you can place silicon itself at the bottom of the ladder, that is insulating material, or as the top of the ladder as a conducting material, or in between. So that process is called doping. So you can dope silicon so that you can make it into a conductor or insulator or in between any semiconductor of any doping profile. So the advantage is that if you have a silicon substrate, if you have a silicon crystal, you can create certain portions where you have insulators, certain portions where you can have conductors, and certain portions you can have semiconductors of any conductivity. And as a result, you can create circuits onto a small area on a silicon crystal or a stone of silicon. Okay, so this is the advantage of silicon technology, and this process by which the silicon is doped like this, or an electronic circuit is printed onto this silicon substrate, is called planar process because everything happens to be on a single plane of a silicon crystal. Okay, so in our day-to-day life, diodes, transistors, and many other components are manufactured in this way. So this is the advantage of silicon technology, and this silicon technology is the reason why we are having integrated electronics in our surroundings or in our systems. So let us see what in detail integrated circuit is. Now here is the definition for integrated circuits. So integrated circuits are packaged electronic circuits that contain active components like transistors, FETs, etc., as well as passive components like resistors, capacitors, etc., connected together for a specific purpose or task. And when you compare these integrated circuits with our conventional discrete components like resistors, capacitors, those circuits that we make using discrete components like resistors, capacitors, everything discrete. So you have wires and all connecting these components. You might be using a breadboard or something like that. So when you are comparing that kind of a big circuit with an integrated circuit, this is the advantage. They will be having smaller sizes, they will be lightweight, and the cost of manufacturing these circuits, integrated circuits, will be much smaller than the other ones. And they have high reliability. And by reliability, it means if you are manufacturing a batch of integrated circuit, a particular integrated circuit, say for instance an operational amplifier, that is also an integrated circuit. So if you are manufacturing 1 million operational amplifiers, then how many of them are defective? And that number will be much small. And when that number is much small, you say that the reliability is high. Okay. And the fifth thing is high speed. Of course, these components will be much speedier when you compare with the discrete components. So when your application is having a high frequency application, then you will not be going for any discrete components. You will be instead looking for integrated circuits. For example, in the case of our microprocessors and all, they are using 2.4 gigahertz or that much high speed circuits are there. So you cannot use discrete components to make a integrated circuit, to make a processor and all. You need to have integrated circuit technology. Then low power. These devices take up only very low power and easy replacement. So if some component is defective, like an integrated circuit or IC is a defective component, then you can just replace it with new IC. So it's that easy. You will not be repairing ICs. And it also has some limitations. And the limitations are like this: coils or inductors cannot be fabricated because coils take up a lot of area. So it's difficult for fabricating coils in low frequency, although it is possible in fabrication of high frequency inductors. But still, you can say that coils should be mounted outside the integrated circuit. Then ICs function at low voltages. So if you want to have a high voltage application, it's not that possible to have an integrated circuit for a high power application. Maybe it's not the case right now. There are integrated circuits that can be used for high power applications also. There are nano electromechanical devices or MEMS devices, micro electromechanical devices, where you can handle these high powers within a small volume. So it's not a matter of limitation for current technology in electronics. Third one is they handle limited amount of power. Limited amount of power because they work at low voltages and all. Low voltage, low current, etc. Because if it is high current and high voltage, it can get burned out. The fourth one is very delicate and cannot withstand rough handling or excessive heat. Yeah, as we have seen previously, if there is I square R loss that is mounting up in a device, then it will burn out. Instead, if you want to have that thing going on working, then you need to pull out all the heat that is generated using some heat sink or so. You can see those heat sinks which can take up heat generated in an IC and radiate outside. So that is seen, that kind of heat sinks can be seen in processors and all. There will be a heat sink mounted onto the processor. So these are the limitations of integrated circuits. Now let's see the classification of integrated circuits. So there are three types of classification. One is based on scale of integration. The second is based on structure of the IC. The third one is the function of the IC. So let me start with the scale of integration. So with the scale of integration, it is classified like this. You have small scale integration, that is transistors. The number of transistors will be less than 10. And example is logic gates, flip-flops, etc. Then medium scale integration circuits are there, where the number of transistors in that IC will be lying between 100 to 1000. In the case of counters and multiplexers, it will be like that. And there are large scale integration circuits where there will be transistors lying between 1000 and 20,000. Similarly, there is VLSI. So your RAM microprocessor, smaller kind of microprocessors will be around LSI, large scale integration. And there are VLSI, which will be used for making 16 or 32-bit microprocessors. And there are ultra large scale integration technology, and they are used for manufacturing graphics processors and all. And then gigascale integration, and that is for Pentium dual core and all uses gigascale integration. And even NVIDIA and other graphics cards and all, they are all using gigascale integration. Otherwise, this much of cores cannot be integrated into a single area. So this is based on scale of integration. When you classify ICs on the basis of structure, you get three types of ICs. One is monolithic ICs, The second one is film ICs. The third one is a combination of monolithic and film ICs called hybrid ICs or multi-chip ICs. And in the case of monolithic ICs, they are used for fabricating active components like transistors, MOSFETs, field effect transistors, etc. And it is called monolithic because the circuit is made on a piece of silicon. And silicon, as you all know, it is very abundant in earth as sand. And in sand, you see silicon as silicon dioxide, and you can take silicon dioxide and purify it to get silicon of high quality, and that is essentially a piece of silicon rock, a rock made of silicon, and that is why it is called monolithic. Mono means single and lithic means based on rock or stone, so it is like single stone ICs. So you have a single piece of silicon where you will be having circuit printed onto it or carved onto the stones of silicon, and that is monolithic ICs. And the second one is film ICs used for fabricating passive components. So if you want to have resistances or capacitances or even inductances of high frequency, or if you want to connect one component from one point to another component, then all you will be using film ICs. Film ICs are again divided into two. One is a thick film IC, the other one is a thin film IC. The names are not based on the thickness of the film actually made. It's on the difference between the technology that is used to make the films. The first one, the thick film ICs, are made using screen printing technology, where you'll be having a plate or a screen where you'll be poking some holes on it. So whenever you pour a paint onto the on the top of this, and when you press onto the substrate, the paint will go through the holes, only through the holes, and you get a pattern on the substrate. So similarly, you'll be having some paste poured onto the mask that is used to screen print in the case of ICs, and these pastes will be conducting pastes or insulating pastes, etc. So that way you can make resistors, capacitors, inductors, connections, etc. onto a single sheet or a small film of material onto a substrate. This is thick film, and thin film ICs are made using vacuum deposition or cathode sputtering. Vacuum deposition is a technology where you will be having a crucible holding the material to be deposited onto the substrate, and you will be heating the crucible, and it vaporizes and it goes through a mask and attaches itself to the substrate. So it goes through a mask and attaches. So there will be holes on the mask where it can go through and attach to the substrate, and after manufacturing or process is complete, you can remove the mask and you get a pattern on the substrate. And there is another technology called cathode sputtering, where you will be having the material to be coated onto the substrate as the cathode material, and there will be an anode. In between the cathode and anode, there will be the substrate. So you can use high energy to poke off the material from the cathode, and it goes off and tries to reach the anode, and the midway it will be encountering the substrate and it gets coated onto the substrate. So that is how you can make thin film ICs. The third classification is hybrid ICs. Here it is a combination of monolithic and film ICs. Active components will be fabricated using monolithic technologies, and the connections between the two, the connections between each of the active components on the monolithic IC will be done on a film IC, and they will be sandwiched together and heated to a particular temperature, and it fuses together and it becomes a hybrid IC. The third classification is based on function, and on the basis of function, ICs can be classified into linear and digital ICs. Linear ICs are ICs which obey y is equal to mx plus c rule. So your output will be a linear function of the input. So that kind of applications are called linear applications. So there are ICs which can be used in that application. For example, our operational amplifier, when it is used as an amplifier, then it is a linear application. But there are applications where uh, it necessarily need not be a linear application. It will be a digital application, or it's a non-linear application. So in such cases, if it is a digital IC, if it is a digital application, then you'll be calling that IC as digital IC. For example, NAND gate, NOR gate IC, etc. are digital ICs. Your processor is a digital IC. All those are digital ICs. But op amps or power amplifiers, those are linear ICs. Okay. So this is the classification of ICs on the basis of scale of integration, structure, and function. With this, we will stop here and we will see another topic in another video. Thank you all.